Welcome back to I Wish I Knew podcast. I'm your host, Aspen Brooke Bailey. Today is going to be my advice about what I wish I knew before I went back to school. Junior high, high school, everything. Today at church, we went around the circle in Young Women's and each girl shared. It was kind of divided actually, but half of them were excited to go back to school and the other half was not excited or nervous, or even one girl said that she was kind of scared, which I've had all of those feelings. So today I decided that I'm going to focus on the main advice. I have 10 things. So the main things I wish I knew growing up before I went to school, as I went through school. And what better time to post this than the day before most people go back to school? So we're just going to jump right in, okay? The first thing, I wish I did not care what people thought about me. I spent so much time worrying about that, and now I look back, I could not even tell you 25 people's names from my high school. I talked to my 5 best friends from high school, and that's pretty much it. So the fact that I cared so much what people would think makes me so sad. But at the same time, I understand it, because this is a terrible analogy, but it's kind of true. High school is like a prison a little bit, because you have to go every day, well, Monday through Friday, you have to be associated with the same people, so it makes it really hard. Obviously, you care what those people think, because when you're out of high school or in a job or whatever, if you don't want to see somebody, you don't really have to. Like at work, yeah, but like in college, if I didn't want to see somebody again, didn't bother me. Just I didn't try to associate. It was so big that I didn't have to run into them. So I understand why we care, because it's like you're around them every single day. So obviously you're going to care what people think. But if we are all caring what everybody thinks, then nobody is actually caring what we're doing. So just remember that. They're probably just as concerned about you, about themselves, as you are about yourself. So that's my first advice. Don't care what people think. I'm sure everybody's heard that, and I'm sure everybody out of high school will tell you, I wish I didn't care. But it's kind of hard when you are in it to not care, because people told me that, my parents told me that, everybody told me that, but I still cared. And so here's one tip that might help. Just focus on, kind of like how last week we talked about self-love, just focus on who you are and accepting yourself, because if you fully love and accept yourself, then you don't care what anybody else thinks, because you are confident in who you are. So that's something that I would encourage you to pray for, or gain confidence in, is who you are as an individual. If you love anime, be so proud about it. If you love painting, be proud about it. If you love the band or drama club, sports, whatever it is, be proud of who you are. And that proudness and confidence can help you not care what anybody thinks. Okay? Here's my second advice. It kind of ties together, but don't care what people think. And then don't care what people are doing. Okay? And what I mean by that is just be kind. There's no need, absolutely no need to be rude to anybody. We're all human beings. We're all the same. We breathe the same. We have to eat. We have to sleep to survive. So just don't care what people are doing. If somebody is doing something weird or different than what you think is normal, don't make fun of them. Okay? If somebody wears their pajamas to school on the first day, don't talk about it. Don't go to your friends. Don't make a group chat and just be like, oh, so-and-so wore pajamas today. How ridiculous. Not necessary at all. Does it help you be a better human being to do that? No. Does it help them to be a better human being to make fun of them? Absolutely not. So don't care what people think about yourself. Be confident. If you want to wear pajamas, wear those pajamas. And then on top of that, if somebody is doing something different than you, don't make fun of them. Don't care what they're doing. If it makes them happy and brings them joy, let them do that, okay? If somebody's playing, I don't know, I'm trying to think in high school what would happen that I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. But now I'm like, why would I even think that? They were having fun. Like, people would go to the library and play Magic card games. I don't know, actually. But anyways, but it's like, I don't need to comment on that. It's also like on social media, it's like insane to me that people comment on other people's stuff to like make fun of them or belittle them. I'm like, that does absolutely no good. So same thing in real life. I wish I just didn't care what other people are doing and just realize if it makes them happy, good for them. If they're in the drama club, if they're on the band team, if they're going to wear their jerseys. I remember that was a big thing. All the football players would wear their jerseys, or soccer players or whatever. If that's what they want to do, let them do it. You know, you don't need to comment. There's literally no purpose. Doesn't help anybody. All it does is cause problems. So keep your thoughts to yourself if they're not nice, okay? Don't care what people are doing. Just be kind. Okay, can you tell I'm like really passionate about that? Because I'm like, just don't do it. All right. Okay, third one. This might come as a shocker, but just talk to people, okay? I love to talk. Clearly started a podcast for the whole purpose of talking. But anyways, just talk to people. If you're sitting in a classroom and you have no friends, I remember in 8th grade, I was in a CTE class. My young women were telling me it's like a CCA class. I don't know. I called it CTE. It was like computer engineering class. And I literally knew no one in that class. And I hated going to that class because I was like, oh no, I'm not going to have any friends. But I wish I would have known, I wish I knew that I could just go up to them and become their friend. And we didn't have to hang out. We didn't have to like the same things. We didn't have to hang out outside of class. But for that class period, it was like an hour long or something like that. It was like long time. For that time, I could have been their friend. We could have been each other's buddies. And I'm sure there was other people in that class who had no friends and were thinking the same thing. And we could have united and been friends together. Otherwise, we just sat there. And that's literally what I did. I just did my work and then I sat on my phone. And I missed an opportunity to talk to somebody because they weren't my friends. They weren't my friend group. Whatever. Stupid now that I think about it. So just talk. Don't put limits on who you can and can't talk to. Oh, other thing I want to add. I remember thinking this like, oh, they're 9th graders and I'm a 7th grader, so I can't talk to them. That is so dumb. Yes, you can. And if somebody is older than you and makes you feel dumb for talking to them, that's on them, not on you. Remember that. The other thing is popular kids or cool kids or whatever you want to call it. I remember thinking like, oh, they're cool. Don't talk to them. My brother was literally one of them. We're 16 months apart and he's a year older than me. And I remember like my sister-in-law now, my brother's wife, she was like, cool. And I was like, wow, she's so cool. She's on the soccer team. Everybody likes her. She wears cute dresses to prom. All these things. Like, she probably doesn't even know this. This is funny. I'm literally texting her right now about this book we're reading. And we're like such good friends. She's my sister now. And in high school, I was like, oh no, like we had a class together. And I was like scared to talk to her because I was like, she's older and she's cool. And that is so sad to me now because I feel like we could have been friends back then, and now we're just barely building our friendship and relationship when we could have had one all along. And so that's my advice. Just don't put limits on who you can talk to, especially if it's like they're weird or lower than me. That's the wrong thought process to have. Or if it's like they're cooler and better than me, also wrong. We're all equal, especially to God. So don't put limits on who you can and cannot talk to. All right. I think I really hit the nail on the head there. Okay. Have realistic expectations, okay? I have seen a million movies. High School Musical came out when I was like 10. I was pumped. Maybe I was younger. I don't know. I was so thrilled to go to high school and fall in love and have it just be the best time ever. Just be realistic. I'm not saying to be pessimistic. My husband is actually going to be shocked that I'm saying this because I'm usually like, be optimistic about everything, over the top positive. But I think you need to realize that you're going to class. You're learning. That's the purpose you're there for, is to learn. And some days are going to be boring. Some days are going to be simple. But just like be realistic. Don't be pessimistic like this is terrible and awful and I hate it. But just realize that it might not be this most glorified, wonderful thing all the time. Not saying it can't be, and not saying there won't be high moments and low moments. I'm just saying, take it for what it is. You're going to school, you're going in a classroom, you're sitting in a chair for 4 or 5 hours a day, and then you're going home. So just remember that. It's school, not High School Musical. Okay? All right. Next one. Be involved as much as you want. But I remember thinking I would have loved to do student council, student government, whatever you guys call it. And I remember thinking like, oh, that's just not who I am. Like, I do volleyball. That's my thing. So silly. I wish I would have known I could do multiple things. I wasn't just limited to a box. Like, this is who Aspen is. She can't do student government, because I would have loved to be on student government. And Drake, my husband, was on student government, and I wish I was. He tells me all these stories and the cool things he got to do, and I'm like, wow, I would have killed it at that. But I limited myself, and I was scared to be involved because who knows why. So that's my advice. Be involved. Not saying everybody try out for student government, obviously. Maybe that's not your thing, but if you want to be involved in after school clubs like the chess club or a book club or who knows, but be involved. Don't just go to school and go home and go to school and go home. Like, make memories. This is a time that every single person has to do. If you think about it, not everyone goes to college. Not everyone goes on a mission or gets married or has kids, but mostly everybody goes to high school or gets their GED or whatever. But for the most part, education is required and high school is required. And so enjoy it, embrace it, make the most of it. Okay? Next. I kind of touched on this again, but I'm just going to hammer it even harder. Drop the stigmas. Be proud of who you are. I'm not going to go any further than that, but just accept who you are and know that you're good enough. And if you need to slowly take steps towards that, you can. Listen to last week's podcast. Okay. All right. Shift a little bit. It is for school. So here's my advice about the school aspect. Become friends with your teacher. We said this today. One of my counselors in Young Women's with me, she said this, and it's so true. Being a teacher is hard. And maybe some of you have parents that are teachers, or maybe you are teachers watching this. It would be really hard. And junior high, high school, middle school, intermediate, whatever it's called, where you have 7 different classes and 25 plus people, that's overwhelming, okay? And that's a lot of students to keep track of. So just be your teacher's friend. Say thank you to them when you're leaving the classroom, because they're doing a lot of hard stuff, and grading papers does not sound fun to me at all. and they chose to teach you. So just appreciate them, be on their good side, be a good student. I was a 4.0 student, but mainly that was because my brother was, and I was like, I have to be perfect just like him. But I appreciated school. I think it's important to do good. And the way that I got all A's was I was friends with my teachers. So if I didn't understand something, I was confident going to them and asking for help. And if I needed help, they were willing to be there for me because they knew I was focused and trying during class and I was on time and I would try to answer their questions. And yeah, people probably made fun of me, but who cares? Because now I have a 4.0. Got a scholarship to college, and don't even remember anybody's name of who might have made fun of me for being a teacher's pet or whatever. So just remember your grades are really important, and academics matter for your future, like college scholarships or being accepted into places. So take it seriously. Maybe don't bawl your eyes out if you get an A- on a test, like I have definitely done. But sorry, my eyes are so itchy today. I'm having my microphone and I have my microphone in one hand, my phone in the other, and my eyes are so itchy. It's just a mess today. Really, I am a mess. I bawled my eyes out today earlier for no apparent reason. I was just sad. Had to have a minute. But here we are recording a podcast, doing better. So we're doing great. But yeah, 7. Be a good student. Get to class early. Listen to the teacher. Actually pay attention. Raise your hand if you know the answer. If you don't worry. Or if you hate reading like me, if the teacher says, who wants to read? Maybe don't raise your hand at that particular moment. But be a good student. It's not lame to be a good student. Some people might make fun of you. Who cares? You're going to get an A and maybe they don't. So who's the real winner in this situation? All right. 8. Stop middleman messages, okay? And what I mean by this was I would either ask my friend to ask the boy to see if he liked me, and then the boy would tell my friend, and then my friend would tell me, and then I would tell my friend, and my friend would tell him. That is so silly. So silly. I understand why you do it, because you're like, that's scary to go straight to the person and be rejected and all these things, but just cut it out. It's a lot easier just to talk straight to the person. And it doesn't even have to be like, oh, I like this boy, I want to see if he likes me. Usually that was the case for me, obviously. But on the other hand, it's like, if you have a problem with your friend, say there's a group of you, and then you think one of the girls might be mad at you. Instead of asking so-and-so to talk to her, and then she tell her, and then she tells her, and then she tells you, just go straight to the person. Be like, hey, you've been kind of quiet today. Are you okay? And if they say no, say, all right. I just feel like something isn't right between us, and I just want to know, is there anything I did to hurt your feelings? Is there anything I did to bother you? I just want to own up to it. I don't know. Maybe that's absurd to say, but I think if you have a problem with somebody, talk directly to them. You can clarify it much faster. It's a skill you're going to need when you're older. And I know plenty of adults who do this, where they talk through a chain. Things get miscommunicated and misunderstood, and it's just way easier to go straight to the person. So cut out middlemen and just go straight to the problem or the person or whatever, okay? It's scary, but I promise it'll work out way better. And then you don't misunderstand because they're talking straight to you, and they don't misunderstand because you didn't send it down the grapevine. Anyone play telephone before? That can get really confusing and really messed up really fast. And so why communicate important situations like thoughts, feelings, people's emotions? Why communicate it that way? Okay? All right. Oh, you make your experience. I think sometimes we are victim to what happens to us. At least I was. I was like, a lot of times I'd be like, oh, I have no friends. Life sucks. Well, I wasn't trying to make new friends. I wasn't trying to get out of my comfort zone. So I wasn't doing anything to change my situation. I was just complaining about my situation. So remember, you are in charge of your experience. If you're having a terrible high school experience, yeah, there's hard days. It's going to happen. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it is. But if you aren't enjoying it, you can change it. Absolutely. If your friends are being rude, go find new friends. And if your friends start talking bad about you, go straight to them and say, hey, I was feeling upset about this. You made me feel left out. You made me feel excluded. So I'm just going to go hang out with some other people so we don't have that problem anymore. And you guys are free to do whatever you want. Maybe that's bold, but if you're not happy, you are in control of your happiness. So you go find new friends. If you're dating somebody and they're not being nice to you, you don't have to stay with them. Okay, we'll get to dating a whole nother time because that's like a boatload we can uncover. But just remember, you're in charge of your experiences. If you're having a bad high school experience, change high schools. I don't know if that's a big deal, but change your situations, maybe you could change a class, maybe you could change something, or mostly the biggest thing that would probably help is just changing your mindset. Like, you aren't a victim, you're not stuck. You can change whatever you want to be the outcome that you desire. And number 10 is your thoughts control your feelings. I just threw my phone. I'm literally filming in my guest room. That's where I made this wall. So I just threw it on the bed. But anyways, number 10, your thoughts control your feelings. So that is maybe common sense to a lot of you. But like 6 months ago, somebody told that to me and it really helped, because I used to just be a victim to my feelings. Like, if I was mad, I was like, oh, this is just happening for no reason, or I'm sad and this is just happening for no reason. No, your thoughts are contributing to it. And I'm not saying change your thoughts and just think positively, because that's not healthy at all. And like, I got in the trap of that a lot, like, oh, toxic perfectionism, like I have to be happy all the time. Not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is it's totally normal to have those feelings and you should embrace them. But a big way to embrace your feelings is to stop and just assess and take a second and be like, I'm sad right now. Why am I sad? Because, like, for example, my friends all went and hung out and I Snapchatted them and said, hey, what are you doing? They opened it. Didn't reply. Literally left me on read, unopened, sad, whatever you want to call it. So I would feel bad about that. And that's totally normal because feeling left out sucks. But I would go the rest of the night pitying myself, telling myself these terrible thoughts that made me even more sad. Like, they don't like me. Nobody likes me. I'm such a loser, whatever, I'm just like kind of going off of what I would assume people would say. None of that is true, though. You are loved and you are accepted. But in that moment, if you keep telling yourself those negative things, then you're going to kind of feel sad even more. You're not going to be able to cope and move forward past your feelings. And that's something that I am learning now as a 24-year-old adult, how to cope and handle my feelings. So when something comes up, like being left out or breaking up with a boy or whatever, let yourself feel. It's very important to feel emotions and different feelings for sure. Just don't let them consume you by having your thoughts be consumed. Be able to embrace it, like, yeah, that sucks that they left me on red, and I don't have to belittle myself because of it. I can feel sad and upset. I can cry. Literally, that's totally okay. And I can move forward. and I can text somebody else, or I can stay home and watch a movie with my parents. Oh my gosh, what? One more thing. Be friends with your parents. We're going to do a parenting episode because that was a big thing for me in high school and just growing up, is being friends with my parents. And so bonus wish I knew is have a good relationship with your parents. The more you tell them, the more they're going to trust you. In my experience. Obviously, I don't know your parents, but me being a parent, if my daughter told me about certain things, situations, then I would trust her because I knew whatever she was going to do, it would not be hidden from me. So just keep that in mind as a little bonus. Be friends with your parents. Talk to them. They actually care and want to hear what you're doing. They're not lame, and you're going to go out of the house one day and really, really wish that they were there all the time. So, okay. Good luck going back to school. I hope it's exciting and thrilling for all of you. If you have questions or worries or concerns, like, you can always DM me or message me, whatever. I'd love to give you advice. Most of the time, I'm just giving advice based off of mistakes I did. So I hope you don't do the same mistakes that I did, but it's probably possible that we all might struggle together. But yeah, thanks for listening. Here are all the things about high school that I wish I knew. Talk to you next week. Love you. Bye.